Welcome back. Today is Throwback Thursday, where I talk about books that I loved in the past and I want to still be out there and read by people. And I always feel like, yeah, of course people are still reading this book because it's amazing, right? I just have my doubts. So I'm gonna make sure that you know about this book and that you are gonna go read it at some point. Or if you have read it, you can come talk to me about it in the comments, because I will talk about this book a lot. I know you have the books where somebody, an adult when you were younger, said, oh, I read this book when I was your age, you would love it. And they give it to you and you're like, this is the worst. I don't want to read this book. You're just some old person who likes old dumb books. Yeah, you did that? Okay. I'm sure I did that as well after I read the entire book, because that's what I did as a kid. But when I was in like the 6th grade, maybe 5th grade, my mom gave me a book. We went to Barnes & Noble and she was like, I read this book when I was your age and it really meant a lot to me. I mean, you could see the difference in presentation there. I read this book when I was your age, and I read this book and it really meant a lot to me, and I think you'd like it too. Also, my mom is like my soulmate, and she gets me, and we share a brain, and we're both weird in the same way. So I usually trust her when it comes to book suggestions. So she gave me this book, and at first I was a little hesitant because I was, you know, a little ornery. But I read it, and I like started in the car, and I think I got about halfway through it in the car. And it is so good. For a long time I read it almost every year, and I just haven't in the past, and I really should get back to it. So that book is The Witch of Blackbird Pond by Elizabeth George Speare, and I pretty regularly give this book to kids when they come into the library. We have an audiobook version of it, and I love giving audiobooks to people, especially during the summer if you're going on a car trip or things like that. And I think this book reaches people of all ages and, you know, genders and all that good stuff. The Witch of Blackbird Pond is about a young woman named Kit, and she has grown up with her grandfather on a plantation in Barbados, in the Indies, and then her grandfather dies, and she has to go live with her only remaining living family members, and that's her mother's sister, who moved to America with her husband, and they live in the colonies. This, you know, young pampered woman from the West Indies goes to live with a family of Puritans in, I think they're in Connecticut. Yeah, in Connecticut colony. And she has to adapt to life there and get to know this family that she's never met, who were kind of estranged from her family and her parents, so she didn't really know anyways. And she has a lot of trouble conforming to the social mores and the really strict rules that they have in this Puritan society. On her voyage there, she becomes friends with the ship's captain of the ship that she's on. His name's Nat, and Nat's great. He's really great. Yes. And they butt heads a lot because they're both very stubborn, but they bond over some things. But they're both very prickly characters, and she, you know, moves into Connecticut and she tries to get along with everybody there and make friends, and she meets her 2 cousins, one of whom is really beautiful and one of whom is pretty and very sweet, but she's crippled. She can't get around very well. She loves them very much, even though one of the cousins is really hard to get along with. She also makes friends with a widow who lives down near Blackbird Pond, and she is a Quaker, and she's kind of shunned by the rest of the community because the Puritans don't like the Quakers, and they think she's a witch. And this is during the time, around the time of the Salem witch trials, and as you can guess from the title of the book, The Witch of Blackbird Pond, her friend, the widow, gets accused of being a witch, and because she's so different than the Puritans, Kit also gets accused of being a witch. It's such a good book. It won the Newbery Award, which, you know, means it's super quality literature. The writing is really vivid and you feel like you're there, and you really identify with Kit, who has this independent spirit, who wants to be living and like vibrant and all this stuff, and she's stifled in this environment where everything is black and white and everything is really rigid, and she thinks that she won't be able to get away from that, but she can't stop herself from being so full of life, and even if she tries to conform to that. That is The Witch of Blackbird Pond. It's good. You should go read it. Okay. Shut up. So that's it for me. I will see you again next week. Make sure you do all those nice things that you can do on YouTube. Like this video, subscribe, share it, comment below if you've read The Witch of Blackbird Pond, and if you'd like me to talk about more Newbery winners or more historical fiction, or if there is a book that you think should be, I don't know, talked about for Throwback Thursday. You can also follow me on various social media. I'm on Twitter at friendswithya, and I'm reading Rainbow Hair on Tumblr, and I'm also reading _rainbow_hair on Instagram. So I'll see you later.